See, here's the thing. I don't know if we know this for sure, but a black hole, is it really a hole? Because here's the thing.
It's a sphere.
Yes.
It's
well, yes, but like...
three dimensions exist in space.
Yes, it's a sphere, but if you go into it, do you go through... Like, do you go through the third dimension? Or is it just infinitely stuck in this sphere and stuff? What are your thoughts?
I just gave you my thoughts.
So you don't think it's possible to go through a black hole?
No, I didn't say it's not possible. I said we're probably not going to know the answer to that in our lifetime.
Well, that's a crappy answer to my question.
How is that a crappy
answer?
answer?
What do you think?
He's not
I did not expect this to be...
astrophysicist.
I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, you can have your opinions. What about time travel?
Time travel?
Yeah.
So
but
what
it
you
is
have
possible to
do
go to the future.
is you just have to basically super wire a DeLorean and just shoot it.
I knew you were going to say
at
that.
like hundreds of thousands, like hundreds of miles, and then you're fine. Or
Probably not.
I think
but-
their body would just get
Yeah, yeah.
that also works. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. I'm joined with Nick and Zach, and we got a little bit of a new setup for you guys as we're in person again.
debut.
We just had like a 20-minute conversation on NFL seeding, so that's fun.
In physics.
And
Yeah,
physics.
and
So we're in a, this should be a good episode. If the first 10 minutes of this episode foreshadow anything. But yeah, the NFL season, regular season, has officially come to an end, sadly, but now it's playoff time, which is awesome.
Real seasons.
None of our teams are in the playoffs because they all suck, but we're still going to do playoff predictions because it's fun and we like doing them. How did we do last year? Did we do really bad last year? I know we did really bad preseason, but did we do good in like the actual playoff predictions? 'Cause no, the year before you did really well.
Yeah, the year.
Did we do well
prior,
last
we did
year?
very well. I'm gonna try to find.
I can't remember. In 22, I was 100%.
You did really well, but I can't remember.
In the NFC.
'Cause
I said the Bills were gonna blow out the Chiefs in the divisional round, and that just did not happen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say no.
I think
I had Ravens.
I think we
over
probably
Niners.
each had the Niners out of the NFC last year.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know if any of us had the Chiefs though.
Well, I think one of us did because we didn't have them in the preseason one.
Who
so.
did we have though? Who was the Super Bowl?
I had
last year
Ravens
for us?
Niners.
Oh, it was that year.
I think it was split.
That's what it was.
I think two people had the Chiefs, Niners, and the other two had Ravens.
That's
Niners.
what
I can't
it
remember
was.
who it was.
I did.
You definitely had the Chiefs.
I had Chiefs
'Cause
Niners. That's what I had.
You're never gonna have the Ravens winning.
Well,
anything.
because we won't get into that. But yeah, I had the Chiefs and the Niners. Yeah, so I did pretty well. I did well, but the only thing that I messed up was I had the Browns beating the Texans.
You had the Browns beating the Ravens in the divisional
I did.
round.
I did.
No, it was Browns Bills in your AFC title game.
I'm
Yeah, it
pretty-
was. Because the Chiefs were the 3 seed.
not AFC title game.
I don't think so.
I'm telling you, it was for him.
Well, if he had the
I
Chiefs
didn't
winning,
have the.
It was going to be. It would have been Browns, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills in the divisional round.
Who did the Chiefs play in the championship last year?
The Ravens.
Oh, that's right. So I did. Yeah, I had the. I did. I had.
I think you probably had
the
Bills,
Browns and the
Niners.
Bills. I had Bills Niners. I think that's what I had.
really? Oh.
Yeah.
I know. I
So
had.
I don't
Ravens,
think any of
Niners.
us got it right except for
Maybe
you.
Joel.
Maybe
Did you have
so. I honestly have no idea. I can't remember.
because I had the Browns beating the Texans and the Ravens.
Point is much worse than the year prior in terms of.
Oh yeah.
predictions.
Well, preseason this year, we both had Chiefs Eagles, and you had Chiefs Lions.
No, I had
No,
Chiefs,
I
I had
had-
Chiefs Packers.
I
Chiefs,
had
Packers.
Texans.
which
Eagles.
the Chiefs Packers is
You had
that's possible still.
I had Texans. Eagles.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I guess that still could happen, but it's far fetched.
Yeah. At least the Texans are in the playoffs.
I'm
Who
still
did you
alive.
have preseason? You had
I had Texans, Eagles.
Okay.
I had Chiefs Eagles.
Okay, so you or me are the most
Yeah,
realistic.
and then I can't remember what Joel.
Did you have Chiefs Packers?
I had
Joel
Chiefs,
had
Packers.
Ravens Lions, I think.
Oh yeah. That also could happen.
Yeah.
That very well could happen.
So you're the only one that's not realistic.
Yeah.
Your two are the most far fetched, but yours is probably more because the
The
Texans.
Packers are still
Yours
a good
is
team, but
absolutely
they're
more. I
not.
had the
Good.
Chiefs.
Yeah, but I mean, your team is the 7th seed, so they have a much hard. Like we were talking about this yesterday. If the Packers their path to go to the Super Bowl is, Eagles, Lions, and then who was
either the Vikings,
like
Rams,
the Vikings, Rams, or Bucks. So that's a tough. It could happen,
Commanders.
but that's a tough road.
We'll talk about the Packers here
Yeah,
soon.
we'll talk about them more. All right, let's officially dive into these predictions. Let's start off with the AFC. Let's do the 2-7 first. Bills, Broncos. Who wants to start us off? Do we just
I
go
will start us off.
left to right?
This isn't a super difficult game for me to pick, I don't think. I do think it'll be actually a pretty decent game. I think that the Broncos are pretty good.
They deserve to be here.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are really a pretty good team. I'm a big Bo Nix fan. He's been playing. I mean, if Jaden Daniels wasn't doing what he was doing, I think Bo Nix would be the Rookie of the Year. I think he fits really well with Sean Payton, and I think that they're doing really well. I mean, KJ, what's his name? Who is it? That receiver, number 19.
Marvin Mims.
Why would I think KJ?
There you've got Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Marvin Mims has been playing extremely good football the last 2 weeks or so. We saw it in person. He's been playing really well. Cortland Sutton's had a breakout year. The Broncos have one of the top 5 defenses in the league, probably. So they really are a good team. But I think I got the Bills in this one by any 1 or 2 scores. I think it'll be a tough game, but I just think that Josh Allen is the MVP, and he is single-handedly,
Propping up the Bills.
upping this Bills team. Their defense is playing really well. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's just kind of making plays, and the Bills have looked like the best team in the AFC throughout the year this year, I think, but I do think it'll be a good game, but I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Bills as well. But I do want to give credit to the Broncos. I, for one, did not even expect them to be a playoff team. I was a little skeptical about Bo Nix, and obviously with how Sean Payton and the Broncos were last year, I didn't really have a lot of high hopes for this team, but they've actually been really good, like we've said. They have one of the best defenses in the league. We saw that. Pat Surtain is the Vegas favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. Bo Nix has been phenomenal as a rookie. Like you said, without Jaden, he probably would have been Rookie of the Year. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Cortland Sutton's had a big year. Marvin Mims has been kind of breaking out as of late. So the Broncos are definitely a good team. I think this is the first time they made the playoffs since 2014, I think, 2015 when they won the Super Bowl. So it's been a long time coming for them. But unfortunately, they go up against Josh Allen and the Bills, who are one of the best teams in the NFL. Josh Allen, like you said, having an MVP caliber type of season. He's the odds-on favorite to win currently. He's been absolutely phenomenal with a team that a lot of people thought wasn't going to be in this position because you lose Stephon Diggs, you lose a lot of key pieces on defense, and you're kind of wondering how is this team going to be? But Josh Allen kind of really put them on his back, and he's having his best season in the NFL. And I think their defense has been actually a lot better than we thought.
They've had a good defense again.
Yeah,
this year.
which is huge for them because that's something that has been off and on. And then obviously, Khalil Shakir has been really big. They traded for Amari Cooper at the trade deadline. He's kind of coming into his own. And then you have James Cook, who's been phenomenal. I think he was one of the touchdown leaders.
Yeah, he's had a
17.
Yeah, so he's been really good this year. But it really just comes down to quarterback play. You have a rookie in Bo Nix who's never been in a playoff game. Then you have Josh Allen who's been in multiple playoff games, having an MVP caliber season. I agree with you. I think this is a 2-score game. And unfortunately for the Broncos, they just got matched up against the buzzsaw Bills.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Bills a lot throughout this playoffs, and they're gonna at home too. Shouldn't be much of a contest.
Yeah, I think the Broncos kind of just drew an unfortunate draw. I think that the Broncos would beat at least 3 teams in the AFC playoffs. At least 3 other teams I think that they would beat.
I don't think that's who Texans.
I think
Steelers.
that they would beat the Texans, the Steelers. I think they would beat the Chargers. I think they could beat.
That's probably
That's probably reasonable. Yeah, I think that they would beat any of those 3 teams.
Which that's why a lot of people wanted the Bengals in the playoffs because they probably would have given the Bills a better fight per se, but they suck.
If the Bengals show up to play, they could beat anyone in this AFC playoff picture. I mean,
Yeah, but they're sitting at home. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but they're sitting at home. All right, Nick, who you got?
I actually think that this will be a closer game than you guys are predicting.
I said it was going to be a 1 to 2 score game.
I think it'll be a 1-score game. I genuinely think Denver could win this game. The one game this year where I truly feel like Buffalo was outmatched was against Baltimore. And why were they outmatched against Baltimore? Baltimore owned the line of scrimmage in both those games. The Broncos have had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I think they've been the best, but it's undeniable they've had one of the 3 best offensive lines in the NFL. And also, I like the receiving core of Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, et cetera, a little bit better than who the Bills have. But, I mean, both teams are very well coached, but one team has Josh Allen and one team doesn't. So, and like we said earlier, Josh Allen, odds-on favorite to win the MVP caliber year. Also, one of the best playoff quarterbacks we've ever seen. He just makes plays in these types of moments. And, yeah, the Broncos have an elite defense, but in Buffalo, they've been here before. I think that the Bills will make some plays in the second half to put it away. But I would not be shocked if Denver keeps this uncomfortably close for a long time. But I'm going to pick Buffalo as well.
The problem with the Broncos is they do have a great offensive line, but they have like a 3-headed thing at running back, and none of them are like really that great. So they're not the most like efficient runners, even though they have that great offensive line. And I mean that's honestly been a big thing that we've said with the Bills is they just don't have a run game, and now you have James Cook and obviously Josh Allen, so that could definitely be a big
I think
factor.
the Bills' offense is not the Bills. The Broncos' offense, I like it though. I mean, yeah, their O-line's good. Their running backs are interesting, but I think they still run the ball fairly effectively. Yeah, I don't know. This game wasn't like super hard for me to pick. Like I knew I was going to take the Bills to win, but I do think it is going to be a pretty decent game though.
Yeah. All right, do you want to keep the same rotation or go backwards?
We'll keep it.
All right.
Who's next?
Ravens Steelers, the 3-6.
Okay, so these teams split in the regular season. And were they both close games?
The second game was not. The Ravens won by 7.
That's right.
The second
Yeah,
game.
that's right.
Second game.
First
So
game
yeah,
was
they
close.
split. This is an easier game, I think, than the other game. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. The Ravens have been pretty good the whole season. The Steelers are cooling off big time. They've lost 4 straight games. And, I mean, that Chiefs performance particularly was bad. They got beat pretty good. That was not a good game at all. So, I don't really like the Steelers right now. They're cold, 4 straight losses. AFC North playoff game. It's going to be a tough, hard nose. It's going to be a tough, close game, as AFC North games usually always are. But, the Ravens are too hot right now. I don't really like what the Steelers have been looking like recently. I haven't been impressed. So, give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going Ravens as well, just because, I mean, one team's been on an upward trend, the other team is on a downward trend. The Ravens have won, 4 or 5 straight, and the Steelers have lost 4 straight. And in the games that they did play against each other, the first game, the Steelers won that game only scoring field goals. They didn't score a touchdown the entire game. Lamar just didn't really play his best game. He only had 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry was held in check for 65 yards. We know that Pittsburgh's always going to have a great defense. It's just their offense in these last stretch of games has been abysmal. Russ is turning the ball over. He's just not playing as well as he did. Also, apparently, George Pickens can't catch the ball anymore. He had, what did he have? 6 targets, 1 catch for 0 yards against the Bengals.
He finished the game with 5 targets, 1 catch for
0 yards.
0
Yeah.
yards. Yeah.
And then, I mean, really outside of that, you have Calvin Austin, who's and then
They don't have any.
they don't really have a third. I mean, the running game's going to be good with Najee and Jalen Warren. Those are both efficient runners. But I think Russ is kind of cooling down a little bit. There's been some talks that maybe you put Justin Fields in there. I don't know if you do that this late in the season,
think that's
but
really help anything.
yeah, but that's people have had that conversation. And then on the other side, you have the Ravens, who have Derrick Henry, who's almost 2,000 yards. What does he have? 19 1,921 yards rushing, and he has 16 touchdowns on the year. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who has been unbelievable this year. He's thrown for 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions with 4,100 yards. And he also has, what's his rushing stats? Let me find him.
Like 850 yards and like touchdowns.
So he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's great at extending plays, great at causing trouble for defenses. And really his only Achilles heel has been the Steelers. I think his record against the Steelers is like 2-4 or something like that.
Yeah, the Ravens, they really don't usually do very well against the Steelers.
But this year, I feel like they're kind of turning a new leaf. They, like you said, they destroyed them on most recently, and then they really just lost that. They lost that game by 2 points. They didn't even.
Justin Tucker missed 2 kicks.
Yeah,
the first time too.
So, and I think Lamar's playing the best he ever has. You now have Derrick Henry, who's another threat. Zay Flowers, I don't know if he's going to play because he banged up his knee.
I don't really think that's.
But then you have Rashad Bateman's been really good this year. Mark Andrews has been putting it on recently late. And that the defense, which earlier in the season I talked about how I was really concerned that their defense could be a major reason why they flame out in the playoffs, because at the time I think they were like 32nd pass defense or something like they were just getting shredded through the pass. But they moved Kyle Hamilton to free safety, and it's completely transformed their offense. They've been one of the better ones in the league. And so I think now that you have that high-power offense that I think – they're averaging like, what is it? They lead the league in yards, averaging 425 yards a game, and they have scored 65 touchdowns on the season. So their offense is high-powered and elite, and now the defense coming along, being really good. And I think the Steelers, they're just heading in the wrong direction. It's kind of the Steelers every single year. They squeak into the playoffs, but the last month of the season they just suck. And then you're like, oh, well, how are they a playoff team? And then they just get beat. So it's kind of the same thing.
They always somehow manage to get themselves in there, but they really don't ever have any business being in there.
Yeah. So it's an AFC North game, so it'll be a tough-nosed game, and it'll probably be closer than people think. But I have to go with the Ravens here. They're just the hotter team right now, and they obviously have the better player at quarterback by a significant margin.
Yeah, I'm going to take Baltimore as well. Again, AFC North game, divisional playoff games are always tight. But one team is just better than another one. And the Ravens got Derrick Henry. They moved Kyle Hamilton around. Although Kyle Hamilton was limited in practice today, so we'll see if that.
He's gonna play.
Yeah, I expect him to play, but we'll see if that becomes a storyline. Zay Flowers did not practice today, so his status is still like.
Once again, though, I don't really think that moves the needle.
I think that is a big factor for the Ravens offense. No Zay Flowers, no vertical threat, no guy in space that you can get the ball to. I think if they don't have Zay Flowers, their offense could struggle at times, but
they're still going to win, though.
Yeah,
I don't think Zay Flowers is going to be like
the reason why Baltimore loses.
Yes.
Now the next round, though.
Yeah, if they don't have Zay Flowers against whoever they play in the divisional round, that could be a problem.
But I don't think it will be against the Steelers. No. I don't think the Steelers are good enough.
And like we said, Lamar Jackson's playing arguably the best football of his career. They got Derrick Henry in the offseason for these kind of games. Or maybe Lamar's not as effective because they don't have Zay Flowers. Just give the ball to Derrick Henry. And like the Steelers, we alluded to it, they've cooled off tremendously over the past month. Russell Wilson has not been playing nearly as good as he was when he first entered. So yeah, it might be a one-score game because it's a divisional playoff game, but I think Baltimore's just the better team, and they'll make enough plays to come out of the game with a win.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, last one in the AFC wildcard round, the number 4-seeded Texans versus the 5-seeded Chargers.
So I think that Jim Harbaugh has successfully executed quite possibly one of the most impressive turnarounds of a franchise this season. This is a Chargers team that I don't think any of us had in the playoffs this year. I think all of us had them winning maybe 6 or 7 games.
I'm at 7-10.
They really didn't have a lot of offensive playmakers. They really still don't. Ladd McConkey is their best receiver.
Yeah.
Their running backs are. I don't love them either. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is great, but they
just picked up Zeke.
I don't think that's going to do much.
Sign him to their practice squad.
Yeah.
I don't think this Chargers team is really that impressive. Defensively, they got some studs, but I don't really.
Yeah, their defense is really good.
I don't think this offense is really that impressive, but I mean, Jim Harbaugh is he's a winner, man. He wins everywhere he goes immediately. It's honestly insanely impressive what he does everywhere he goes. And the Texans have been maybe one of the bigger disappointments of the season. I'm a huge C.J. Stroud fan. I really like the Texans. I really like C.J. Stroud, but I mean the Chargers. I have the Chargers in this game. I just think the Chargers are the better team. They've been playing better football throughout pretty much the whole season. I mean, like I said, the Texans have kind of been hit with injuries a lot this year, and I don't think that they have been very impressive. And I think the Chargers have egregiously overperformed this year. I think they got a great defense. C.J. Stroud's had a little bit of a slump. So
there's reasons for that, but
yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to see it, but I do think the Texans are going to be a first-round exit.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think the Chargers are going to win this one. Like you said, they've been one of the probably them and the Commanders have been the two most surprising teams. Yeah, but Jim Harbaugh, proven winner. He's won everywhere he's gone. We talked about that when he got signed. And then Justin Herbert, this has been probably his most efficient year, not his best year statistically, but has he thrown an interception this season? I think he might have thrown one. Let me look.
Well, that's just the Jim Harbaugh offense, man. Jim Harbaugh is a very much run first offensive
he's
guy.
He's thrown 3 interceptions to 23 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I mean it's not even close to his best statistical season, but it's probably I mean Jim Harbaugh's a run first guy, so you're not going to get big numbers out of your quarterbacks, but you're going to get insane efficiency. And with a quarterback as talented as Justin Herbert, you're going to get really good efficiency and really he's going to be a very effective quarterback for this type of offense.
If you've seen the Chargers and Justin Herbert play this year, you know that he's still that guy.
Oh yeah,
even though
he absolutely is.
The box score numbers aren't eye popping. Like him against the Bengals for that first 2.5 quarters, he was dialed.
Oh yeah, he was dicing.
Well, I mean, it's just because I don't know what the heck Brandon Staley was doing, but I mean, Justin Herbert single-handedly carried this team on his back, and Justin Herbert basically had to do his best Joe Burrow impression on a week-in and week-out basis.
No, I don't know about that. The Chargers have an elite defense. That's why they're here.
No, not this year. I'm talking about before Jim Harbaugh.
Okay,
before Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert was doing his best Joe Burrow impression week-in and week-out because the Chargers team was not performing. But Jim Harbaugh gets here, they're immediately efficient. Keep in mind, I did say his best Joe Burrow performance. You can only do so much.
All right.
but no, yeah, this is an efficient team.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, you're fine. I mean, like you said, this has been the offense just doesn't. Jim Harbaugh doesn't really throw the ball a whole lot. Plus, I mean, their receivers are Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, and then they always have some random. I don't even know who the
Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, who he has bricks for hands, but he's getting better. He can catch.
Hey, he's got 8 touchdowns and 700 yards this year.
He's had a pretty solid.
He's been better.
He's had a solid season considering how awful his rookie year was.
He's been better.
I have still seen.
They still need to upgrade at receiver.
Yeah, he still dropped his fair share of passes, but he's definitely been effective.
Improved.
Yeah,
but I mean, when Justin Herbert was playing his best, his last 2 full healthy seasons, he had basically 700 attempts, and this year he only has 500. So he's throwing the ball a lot less, but this is by far his less. His turnover worthy plays is about 0, as good as you can get. Obviously, they run the ball really well. They have a good offensive line, but their defense, like you said, has been the storyline. They are allowing 17.7 points per game, which is the first among defenses. So people don't really score against them, and yeah, I mean, I think with the Texans, their offensive line struggles. They're down their top 2 receivers, or I guess 1, 2, and 3.
They got hit with the injury bug on the line too, didn't they?
Their line's pretty.
Or so their offensive line has more just been bad.
Yeah, their offensive line.
Their offensive line hasn't been like New Orleans, where it's just been decimated with injuries. But
they were decent last year, though, weren't they? They were.
Yeah, they were not bad.
Line. I don't know what happened really to the offensive line, but it's not good. But they got decimated injury wise, though, skill position wise.
Yeah. Let me look at their offensive line real quick. But yeah, I mean, C.J. Stroud, he had that record-breaking first season, and he just hasn't been the same this year, which is not fully on him, but it just hasn't been the year that a lot of us expected. I agree with you. I think they're one of the more disappointing teams of the season. They had the 31st ranked offensive line behind the New England Patriots. So they were pretty bad. Not too far away from that is the Bengals, but
I was gonna say they're probably up there.
So the Texans have a lot of problems offensively, and when you don't have some of your best receivers like Tank Dell, great deep threat guy, he definitely pushes the defense back, and then you have Stephon Diggs, who had actually been playing really well before he got hurt. He's out. Dude. Nico Collins is back healthy, which is good for them, but I just don't think it's going to be enough against this Chargers team that is like super disciplined. Like you said, a super efficient, very hard-nosed team. And there's just too many offensive woes that have happened for this Texans team. But I still love C.J. Stroud. I still think he's a great quarterback, and I still think he's going to have a great career.
Yeah, they'll rebound.
But it's hard to, like we've seen, unless you're like an elite quarterback, it's really hard to play with a really bad offensive line and without some of your best weapons. I mean, Joe Mixon's been really good, but I just think there's only so much that you can do, and with them struggling, and I mean I forget what they finished record-wise, but I think they won 9 games.
They were 10-7.
10-7, or 10-6.
What do you think the issue with this offense is? Is it maybe just like
It's mainly offense.
It's mainly the offense.
Do you think it's like the guys they got aren't meshing super well together, like in the scheme, or what? Because this line was not this bad last year.
Yeah,
and they didn't have Mixon or Diggs last year, but their offense was significantly better last year.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I honestly didn't really pay much attention to their offensive line last year, but I mean this year, CJ he's kind of been holding the ball a little bit longer. When facing the blitz, he's gotten sacked 11% of the time, which isn't great. And they're allowing the 28th most pressures, which isn't good, and they also can't run the ball efficiently
because they have. They have Joe Mixon.
Yeah. They ranked 31st in rush win rate or whatever. They're just really the offensive line is the reason why they're not as good of a team as they have been, because Stroud's running for his life. The receivers just can't get open, and when you only have Nico Collins instead of him and Tank Dell, that really hurts. And something's just been off with them this year. Yeah. So I just chalk it up. But I think the Chargers more efficient, better defense, more disciplined. I think they're going to win.
I truly also think this game could go either way. I think both.
It could definitely.
I think both these teams are very similar. Both good quarterbacks. Lack of good defenses on both sides. The Texans' defense is second in yards allowed per drive and 11th in points allowed per drive. So their defense has definitely been the reason why they've ended up winning this division. That and every other team in the AFC South just is exploding. Yeah, that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah.
They kind of won the division by default, but both have good to great quarterbacks. I think both teams are well coached. I think D'Amico Ryans is a good coach. Jim Harbaugh on that staff, obviously doing their thing. Both elite defenses, but I mean, the Texans' offensive line is just horrible. There's no other way to put it. Their Texans' offensive line has been the reason. That and injuries why they haven't reached the heights that I think some of us expected them to. And I think that'll be the difference in this game. I don't think C.J. Stroud is going to get time in certain clutch moments to find Nico Collins or whoever it is without Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell now. I think that obviously Justin Herbert, the Chargers, a lot of these players have been in the playoffs. Didn't go great the last time, but I just trust them a little more than I do Houston. So I'm going to take the Chargers in this game, unfortunately.
I think the big thing with the Texans is last year we saw a lot of deep throws, 50 air yard throws, but now he just doesn't have the time really to throw that. So
there's no time to develop.
Yeah, so you're not getting those explosive plays from Tank Dell and Nico Collins that we saw last year, just because CJ doesn't have time to get the ball down there.
Yeah, but I think from the Chargers standpoint, even if they both, they both have good defenses. They're similar teams. The Chargers have been hotter recently, and offensively they are far more efficient.
Yeah, and the Texans played the Ravens on Christmas, and that just
They didn't score
it just
a
wasn't a
touchdown.
game. Yeah, it just
Not
wasn't
at
a
all.
game at
The
all.
only reason they had points because they got a safety.
Yeah, so
They didn't like Reagan in that game.
yeah, I think the Texans are going to just kind of have to chalk it up, like you said, and just aggressively try to hit the offensive line because you don't want a situation that's happening in Cincinnati to happen in Houston as well.
All right, so on NFC, Nick, we'll start with you. Number 2 seeded Eagles facing the 7 seeded Packers.
Ooh, we're going to that one right off
Yeah,
the bat. All right.
Eagles Packers right off rip. I want to say that all 3 of these wild card games are
Phenomenal.
coin flips, including this game. The Packers.
Yeah,
are
the NFC was just by far the hardest.
The NFC's been way better than the AFC. Top to bottom.
Every wild card game that I came to in this NFC, I was like, dude.
Yeah. Like the Packers are the 7 seed. They're 11-6. They are a good football team. They've just kind of haven't won games in huge moments, but they could be due because they have the talent on that team to beat elite NFL teams for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But Christian Watson was just announced that he's out for the rest of the year with a torn ACL.
Yeah, it's tough.
So that kind of sucks for them. It's a rematch of Week 1 in Brazil, where obviously
A heck of a
kind of
game.
sloppy,
That
but
was a heck of a
it was a
game.
great football game. The Eagles ended up pulling that out at the end. That's when Saquon Barkley burst onto the scene, and if we knew what he was going to
Did
be
Christian
up to.
Watson play in that game?
I'm
I
not
can't
sure.
remember.
That was the Jaden Reed, like,
That was when Jordan
Breakout.
Love
Yeah.
blew his ankle out too.
yeah, at
Yep.
the very end of the game.
Yep.
But I mean, I do truly think Green Bay can go to Philadelphia and win this game because I like Matt LaFleur as a head coach way more than Nick Sirianni. But this Eagles roster is one of the best in the league. Like they are phenomenal on. They've got a fantastic offensive line, phenomenal skill possession players. Saquon's been the best running back in football this year. Another elite defense. That secondary's been turned around. In Philly, that crowd. I know home field advantage doesn't really matter as much in the NFL for certain teams as it does in like college and whatnot. But in Philly, that crowd's going to be rocking. 14-3. I think with the way last season ended, they're going to be hoping for them to kind of get a playoff run going to get back to where they should be with the talent on this team. And I picked the Eagles to beat the Packers in the playoffs in the preseason. I think it was in the divisional round, so a round earlier. But both very good teams, but I think that the Eagles are they're too talented, I think, to lose this game. Packers are very young. The Packers are getting there. I think they're going to be a year or two away from being a truly elite NFL team. But, I'm going to take Philadelphia at home in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Philly as well, even though I agree with you. I think I very well could see the Packers walking into Philly and beating them, but they're very similar in offense. They're ranked 7th and 8th, and they're basically have scored the most amount of points. But the big thing is the Eagles, their defense has been phenomenal. They're allowing the second most points per game in 17.8, which is right there with the Chargers. Their secondary has been phenomenal with rookies with like Quinn and Mitchell and Cooper DeJean being obviously phenomenal. That defense has been elite. And then the offense, I mean, you had Dallas Goedert, you have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. The offensive line has been revamped from a year ago, but they're still really good. And, I mean, this team shows a lot of shades of that 2022 team that went to the Super Bowl. The biggest thing is just going to be, like you said, can Nick Sirianni coach a good game? And will we see the better parts of Jalen Hurts rather than, he has some high highs and low lows, and he's coming off of a concussion, so I don't know if he's going to be fully 100%. But this has been probably his most efficient year and, like, quietly his best year. And, yeah, I just think Philly's just too talented of a team, and it sucks for the Packers because they've been great this year. Jordan Love's played well. They've been really good, and I think, like you said, I think they're a year or two away from being legitimate contenders in the NFC if they're not already that. But it's kind of like the Broncos. They just got a tough draw against a team that's been elite this year. And but yeah, I mean, like all these NFC games are great, but I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles on this one.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys kind of hit on a lot of the points here. So I took the AFC, and then you guys can take the NFC. So yeah, but yeah, to be truthfully honest with you, this was the hardest wild card game to pick.
Oh yeah.
I think that this is going to be a very similar game to what we saw in Week 1. Christian Watson not playing. I think the Packers have 3 guys that are basically wide receiver ones. I don't think all three of them are that insane. I think that's just how they all fit well into the offense. I mean, one of them has a big day. Christian Watson has a big game. Then Jaden Reed has a big game. Then Romeo Dobbs has a big game. I think all three of them are effective receivers. Tucker Kraft's had a breakout year. Jordan Love has been pretty good this year. I don't know if he's been quite as phenomenal as he was, last year, but I think he's had a pretty good year this year. Josh Jacobs has been insane. And I said, honestly, for both of these teams, I said going into the year, I think Josh Jacobs joining the Packers is going to have the best season that he has had since the season that he led the league in yards or whatever that was when he was with the Raiders. That happened. With the Seahawks, or on the other side with the Eagles, I said I think Saquon is going to do for the Eagles what Christian McCaffrey did for the Niners. That has happened. And immediately in week 1, we saw Saquon Barkley take over, Jaden Reed take over. Both teams played very well in week 1. I think that we're going to see that in this game in Philadelphia. I think that this game truly was really hard to pick.
Absolutely.
In my preseason predictions, I had the Packers in the Super Bowl. I fully believe that could still happen. The only thing is that number one, they aren't as hot as I thought they were going to be, and they are not as hot going into the postseason as they were last year. So I'm not as high on them as I was in the preseason, or as I thought maybe I would be. Because I just don't think the Packers have been quite as hot as they were going into the postseason last year. I just don't. In the games that I've recently watched of them, they haven't impressed me quite as much as they did at this time last year, I don't think. But the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is also not really impressed. Jalen Hurts, I don't think has been phenomenal this year. I mean, I don't know.
Pretty good.
He's had a good year, but I don't think he's been. I think Saquon Barkley is the reason this team isn't so good.
Well, yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. This is a hard game to pick. I think I have one game that I'm going to be different than you guys on at least, so maybe I'll just stick to it. But this is a hard game. I have my pick right in front of my face, so I'm just debating if I want to stick with it or not.
The Packers, I don't think they're going to have Jair Alexander.
I just think that,
either.
I just think that the Eagles have been just as good as the Lions for the vast part of the year this year. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles here, but I think this is going to be a really good game. Yeah. And I think either team could win, but I think the Eagles have honestly been just as good. Maybe not just as good, but I think the Eagles have just as good of a chance to go to the Super Bowl as the Lions do.
Yeah.
So
it also doesn't help the Packers that they're in a historic division this year.
and that's the thing. I mean,
yeah, I want to talk about that.
They're 11-6 and they're the 7th seed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're 11-6.
Well, it's like I was saying with the. I mean, it's not the same, but it's somewhat similar. Like with the Broncos, I think the Packers would beat probably 2 or 3 other teams. They had a rough draw here. I mean, the Eagles are playing at a similar level to the Lions. So
well, and then in their division, you have the Lions at 15-2, the Vikings at 14-3, and then they're at 11-6.
Yeah, it really is insane. But I don't know I can't remember what did they finish the last couple weeks at.
They lost to the Bears. They lost to the Vikings.
Who, the Packers?
Yeah,
they lost to the Lions.
They are,
which was a great game, but I remember watching that one too.
Yeah, they lost to the Lions, Vikings. Oh wait, no, sorry. This is the Vikings. My bad.
I just don't feel like they've been quite as hot in recent weeks.
They've lost
They lost to the Bears, lost to the Vikings, so they've lost 2 in a row, but they've won. Yeah, they're 3-3 in the last 6. So, but
I don't know. I'm gonna have to take the Eagles here, just because I think the Eagles have been steamrolling this year.
Yeah, the Eagles have been phenomenal.
But I would not mind one bit seeing the Packers win.
Oh yeah.
I just want to see the best possible game. I think this is going to be a great one. I guess we'll see how close I come based upon my preseason predictions.
Yeah.
I had these guys in the Super Bowl, so we'll see. But I'm going to go with the Eagles as of the current second.
Fair. All right, another great game. The 3-seeded Bucks versus the 6-seeded Commanders, Nick.
Yeah,
Who you
this for me was the hardest game to pick because
Really?
I truly think this is the most balanced game of all 6 of them. I truly believe. I know this is going to be crazy analysis, but whatever team shows up to play is going to win the game. I know that's insane.
I see what you're saying, and I do agree with that.
Whoever scores the most points will win the game.
Whoever scores the most points will win the game.
It sounds really stupid, but I get what you're saying, and I do think I agree.
Like
We actually
Baker
ju-
Mayfield.
We actually just heard a guy on ESPN when talking about the Texas-Ohio State game say the team that plays better will win.
That's quoted.
We were like,
Okay,
oh,
but like
fair?
I do get what you're saying.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
like,
no, I get it.
like if I'll get go ahead.
Okay. The thing is, like, there's been multiple games this year from Baker Mayfield where he has just had multiple throws. Like, what are we doing?
5 touchdowns in a game. A couple
No,
weeks ago.
that's what I'm saying. There's been multiple games this year where he's been bad and just many questionable throws, and then he's also had games where he's thrown 4 or 5 touchdowns this year.
I think he's been good for most of the
He
year.
has been good
though.
for most of the year, but it's like Will Howard's been good for most of the year for Ohio State, but if Will Howard shows up against Texas like he did against Michigan, Ohio State's going to have trouble winning that game. You know what I'm saying? That different topic, but
41 touchdowns.
yeah, he's
He's tied for second in the league.
Baker Mayfield's been
And he's
ridiculous,
30 yards.
and he hasn't had Chris
the
Godwin for
heck?
half the year
He
too.
went nuts.
But the biggest
Hey, Jalen McMillan, shout out to the rookie. He's been phenomenal.
balling.
He
Screw him.
Yeah. Jalen McMillan, I brought him up off my taxi squad a couple days before I faced this guy in the championship due to CeeDee Lamb not playing, and he showed up. Dude had like 30 points. He has been going
been
crazy
balling.
recently.
He's been balling
I
out.
think they got something in this guy.
they might
Also,
he might be a
screw
Chris
him
Godwin
because
replacement.
the Bengals passed on him for Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, they drafted Jermaine Burton like 2 picks before.
Well, that's just a classic Bengals move. What do you
Elite
expect?
drafting from Cincinnati.
What else do you expect?
But yeah, the biggest thing for me, I don't even think he's been the best rookie for Tampa Bay. Bucky Irving has been phenomenal since he's taken over that running back role. So, the Bucks kind of kept their season afloat without Chris Godwin by hitting on Jalen McMillan and Bucky Irving. And then on the other side, you've got another phenomenal rookie in Jaden Daniels, who's probably going to end up winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. 12-5 for the Commanders. None of us expected that. No one expected that.
People
I
were
had
like,
him winning. I had him winning.
I had him
6
going
games.
4-13.
people,
I had him winning 6
people
games.
were flaming us in the our preseason video. They were like, "How did you guys not guess the Commanders?" I was like, "Did you guess the
Did
Commanders?" were
anyone
gonna be that
expect the
good? Like,
Commanders to
come
win
on now.
12 games this year?
I had them winning 6 games because
Yeah.
I liked Jane Daniels.
Like, I knew Jaden Daniels was going to be good. I had him as my preseason rookie of the year, but I did not think he was going to take the Commanders to a 12.
Yeah,
I
that's
did not
like-
expect that.
Yeah, I thought like a good season for Jane Daniels was going to be like 6 wins from this team.
But yeah, I think that this game was truly difficult. But I think the difference for me is that Bucky Irving emerging as a legitimate rushing threat for Tampa Bay adds a balance to their offense that they did not have last year and the year prior. Last year with Rashad White, it was essentially stop Baker Mayfield throwing to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and that shuts down a majority of their offense because he was more of a receiving back. But this year, they're more balanced with Bucky Irving. Jaden Daniels, I do think Jaden Daniels is going to meet the moment. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is going to play bad, but this is his first playoff game at the NFL level. Baker Mayfield has had a history of playing well in the postseason. Tampa's been here before, 4th straight division title for him. These two teams played in week 1. Tampa Bay beat them, much like the Packers and Eagles, but this is a much different Commanders team, also different Bucks team, but these two teams are wildly different. It's not going to be a blowout like it was in week 1. But I think the experience of Tampa and the Bucky Irving factor is going to be the difference in this game, so I'm going to take Tampa Bay in a close game.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay as well, and I think this game is literally 50-50 right
I think
down
it's a
the
coin
middle.
flip. I truly do.
They're, like you said, both teams are relatively the same, but I do think Baker Mayfield has been a proven to be good in the playoffs. In 4 games in the playoffs, he's 2-2, but he's thrown for 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So he's been pretty good. And I mean, this year has been his best year by far. Like Weaver said, 41 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 16 interceptions.
16 picks is a lot, but
But when you're doing-
4,500 yards and 41
Yeah,
touchdowns.
that's
Jeez.
insane.
Yeah. And that's not to add basically 1,100 yards from Bucky Irving with 8 touchdowns, and Rashad White 600 yards, but he's also been like obviously a play in the passing game as well. And losing Chris Godwin hurt, but Mike Evans got
They're
his.
doing
got
this
his
without Chris Godwin.
yeah, which like when did he go down? Week 7. He was the league. He was like the leader in like
Yeah,
everything.
he was.
Mike Evans got his 1,000 yards barely. Congrats to him.
That was awesome to see against.
That was
New
awesome.
Even Jerry Rice.
So he's got 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Cade Otton's been really good as the tight end, filling in for that Chris Godwin role. He's been kind of banged up, but hopefully he comes back. You already touched on Jalen McMillan. Neither defense is like great, but they're both solid enough. So this is going to be high-scoring game. It's going to be an awesome game. But I just think the experience from Baker Mayfield, and I think the running game, like you said, is going to be huge because Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler haven't been the most efficient recently, and their leading rusher is Jaden Daniels by 100 yards. And, yeah, I just think that the running game is going to be huge. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to rise to the occasion. I think he's going to play really well, and I legitimately could see them.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all if the Commanders won this game.
But I'm going to give the slight edge to the Bucs for this reason.
Yeah, so I think I like the breakdowns for both of these teams that you guys provided. Yeah, this is.
But we're just wrong.
No, they are really all tough games. But I'm going to lean on the other side of the 50 here, and I'm gonna take the Commanders to win this game. You almost had me convinced.
I cannot blame you at all.
I will not blame you at all.
You both almost had me convinced to take the Buccaneers.
I can also very well see that happening.
And yeah, I'm gonna take the Commanders though. I'm gonna give them just a slight edge just because of Jane Daniels and the level that he's been playing at. I have been really, really impressed with the Commanders just about every time I watched them play, particularly like recently when I've seen them play. I've been extremely impressed with Jane Daniels and the Commanders as a team. So, and honestly, really, that's the only reason I'm picking him here because, you know, it is a rookie quarterback. Baker Mayfield's had the best season of his life. The Buccaneers have been playing really good football, but I mean, I've been just really impressed with Jane Daniels, and particularly the last time I watched. Pull up the schedule. Who did they play on Monday night like a week or so ago?
Who? The Commanders?
Yeah.
It was Sunday night against Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Now, I know the Falcons not really having a great year this year, but I was really impressed with the way Jane Daniels played in that game. I thought they looked like
that ending drive against Atlanta to win them the game.
Yeah, I really thought the Commanders played pretty well in that game. Jane Daniels has been looking. I've just been so impressed with Jane Daniels this year. So I'm going to take them LSU boys. I think it's going to be a really great game though. It really is 50-50. So I'll side on the other side of that 50, and I'll be different and take the rookie of the year to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a high-scoring game, this is going to be it because you have the 4th-ranked scoring offense and the 5th-ranked scoring offense, both averaging about 29 points per game
in this game.
So this game's going to be high-scoring. Also, shout out Terry McLaurin for having 1,000 yards and leading,
Scary Terry,
being second in the league in touchdowns by receiver, I believe, behind obviously Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Scary Terry did indeed break out this year.
He finally has a real quarterback throwing him the football.
Exactly.
So congrats to him, OSU legend. All right. 4-5 matchup. We got the Rams versus the Vikings. Another really tough
game to pick, considering that the Rams were the only team not named Detroit to beat Minnesota this year. It was a Thursday night game midway through the year. Sam Darnold didn't play great. Rams ended up winning a game that was really a one-score game, but then they got a safety at the end where they just missed a face mask call.
That was
that game.
So bad.
Yeah.
One of the most blatant, but regardless, the Vikings were lucky to even be in that situation. But if you're talking about head coaches that know how to adjust, Kevin O'Connell is one of the best in the league. Which also, you want to talk about a guy that knows how to solve a Brian Flores defense, Sean McVay is probably one of the first names.
Two great coaches.
So this might be the best head coaching.
This is a chess match.
Yeah, this might be the ultimate chess match here in the first round. But I mean, you look at both teams like Aaron Jones in the backfield, he's had a great year. Not the diet version of what Saquon and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry have done for their teams, but
Yeah, not really that, but he has.
he's had a solid year.
He's had a solid year.
He's definitely not been bad. Jordan Addison's broken out as a legitimate wide receiver too. Justin Jefferson's obviously still
Second
Justin
league in
Jefferson.
passing and receiving.
Yeah,
yards.
T.J. Hawkinson's been good since he's come back from injury. But then you look on the other side, Matt Stafford, when he's gotten the postseason, has been fantastic. You've got Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp,
Yep.
Kyron Williams in the backfield. Like this is another game where you could see points aplenty. But I think the difference for me is that I feel like the Vikings receivers have been more consistent than the Rams receivers have been this year. Like Cooper Kupp he's been off and on. Obviously, we know what he's capable of, but
Well, both of the Rams receivers have had injuries.
yeah. But even without injuries, when Cooper Kupp has been here, he's been like iffy. He's gonna need to channel some 2021 Cooper Kupp to get open in certain spots against Minnesota because their defense is legit. I just even though the last time I watched Minnesota play, obviously they got rolled against Detroit, but we
I
know
don't know
that
if I'd say a roll.
It was-
They
it was
they
definitely
in the red
closer
zone
than-
3
yeah.
times. Went for the score 2 of the 3 times. Didn't get either one. Kicked the field goal.
it was definitely
That was definitely one of the worst games that we've seen Sam Darnold play this year.
yeah, it was probably the worst this year from him.
Well, that was also, I'm pretty sure,
It's
the
against
highest
the
percentage that
Lions.
he got blitzed.
he
And the
literally
Lions defense is very
he got destroyed.
Yeah, it was bad.
The Lions just constantly,
Well, but
constantly blitzed him.
If they score on those 2 red zone possessions, it's a totally different
It's a totally different
absolutely.
game.
So,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the scoreboard was bad, but I don't think it was actually that bad of a game.
No, it wasn't. I've been who had the Vikings going 14-3 this year? No one. I've been incredibly impressed with the Vikings. I know the Rams have also turned it around after starting 1-4. To win the NFC West is very impressive, but the Vikings are a buzzsaw, man. They're just so good, and I don't think the Rams have the personnel on defense to really match what the Vikings are going to throw at them a second time. And I just this game could go either way, but I'm going to take Minnesota in this game. I've been very impressed with them this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Vikings, super surprising, 15-3. Sam Darnold's been one of the best stories in the league, you know, kind of coming out of nowhere and really becoming a good, serviceable starter. He's made himself a lot of money. The Vikings are the 9th scoring offense in the league. They've been really good, obviously, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones has been really good. Everybody that Nick said. But the defense has been the biggest story. Brian Flores has really changed that defense. And they've been really good, one of the best defenses in the league. They are the 5th scoring defense, only allowing 19 points per game. Then on the other side, you have the Rams, who obviously led by Matthew Stafford. Their offense has also been high-powering. You got Cooper Kupp, who hasn't been like insane this year, but Puka Nacua has been insane. He's been great since he's came back from his injury earlier in the year. Kyron Williams has been a touchdown machine. That offensive line's been good. The defense was the biggest red flag for the team early on, but they've really improved throughout the season. Their defensive line is ranked in the top 10. They have Byron Young, who's been really good, and then Fisk and Jared Verse have been really impactful as rookies. Their secondary still isn't great, but they've improved a lot. And I think the biggest thing that comes down to me is the quarterback play. Obviously, the defense is going to play a big part as well, but Matthew Stafford, like you said, has been phenomenal in the playoffs. In 8 games, he is 4-4, and he's thrown 15 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. But he's averaging 308 yards per game in the playoffs. So because of that, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Rams, and I'm going to have them kind of upsetting, even though they're the higher seed. But I like the Vikings a lot. They've been really good, but I don't really know if I can trust Sam Darnold. Big moment. This is going to be the biggest moment of his career. I just don't know if I can really trust him in that moment to make the plays necessary to win a playoff game in LA. It's going to be a hostile environment. I think it's just going to be tough for him to go. But I'm also probably a little bit recency biased just because of his last game kind of left a bad taste in his mouth. But phenomenal game. It's another one where this could go 50-50. Could be very wrong, but because of Matthew Stafford's playoff pedigree and how well he's performed, I'm going to give the Rams the edge.
Yeah, I'm going to – honestly, I thought that this was the game that I was going to be different than both of you guys on, not the Commanders one. But yeah, I'm going to be piggybacking off you on this one. I got the Rams winning this game. I have said since they started 1-4 due to injuries, I have said if they can get healthy and they can get things turned around and if they can just claw into the playoffs, I think that this team is going to make a lot of noise. I think that this Rams team could go to the Super Bowl if they can get into the playoffs. The only reason they were 1-4 is because Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were both out. So
their D line wasn't
their,
performing
offensive,
what they were now.
Their offensive line was completely gone. Too.
Yeah.
Injuries was the only reason that this team was not performing well, and they started out like 1-4. But I said from the start, if they can get healthy and they can make it into the playoffs, they're going to make some noise. And they are healthy now. They have been making noise. They've been hot recently. They haven't just clawed into the playoffs. They won their division after starting 1-4. I love this Rams team. I'm a big fan of the Rams. I think that they are a great team. Sean McVay is my favorite head coach in the NFL. I'm a huge Sean McVay fan. He is an offensive mastermind. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are both having, I think, great years. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach as well. He's done wonders with this Vikings team that I had winning 4 games, I think, going into the season. So they have been the most surprising team, I think, in the entire league. But I'm a big fan of this Rams team, man. Sean McVay, prolific offense, great players. Matt Stafford, like you said, has been great in the playoffs. Defense is playing well right now. I'm gonna have to take the Rams in this one. I think the Rams are. I said it before. If they can turn things around and they can claw in, I think they can make some noise. So. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it could definitely go either way, just like all the other games, but I do think they're going to pull it out.
Yeah. All right, let's jump back to the AFC for the divisional round. I think we all have the
Exact same matchups.
Chiefs versus the
Yes, we do.
Chargers, the 1-5 week. We'll start with you. Who's winning between the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Yeah, so this is going to be a pretty good game, too, I think. I think that this is going to be a closer game than what people think by just looking at it on paper. Both times they played each other, it's came within a score. The last time they played each other, I think it was in Los Angeles, It was
in KC.
It was in KC the last
It was
time?
a Sunday night game where they won the division. They had the kick off the upright as time expired.
Oh, okay. So they won by 2 points.
Of course they did.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of course they did.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. A Jim Harbaugh-led Chargers team, they are efficient and they play good defense. I think we're going to see this game just be like the other 2 games. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game. However, one team has Patrick Mahomes, and they have been on something this year. So, you can't, no matter what the situation is, they're going to probably find a way to win. So I got the Chiefs winning this one, but I do think it's going to be a close, low-scoring defensive game.
One sec.
Yeah, the Chiefs have...
Okay, sorry, I was just counting their one-score wins. 11 one-score wins for the Chiefs is unbelievable.
Yeah. They, like I said, they've been on something.
Yeah, so as good as the Chargers season have been, they're going against the 15-2 Chiefs, who, honestly, in my opinion, haven't been playing well. But of course, like the Chiefs do, at the end of the season, they start kicking it into gear. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, who in the playoffs has thrown for 41 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 5,000 yards, and he's been in the playoffs for 6 years, right? Yeah, which is absolutely
How many
absurd.
games has he played?
18.
So basically a full season at this point, and he's got 5,000 yards and 41 touchdowns.
I think
And so
we're just
basically-
going to see another classic Chiefs
Yeah,
game. I mean,
I know.
it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game, and the Chiefs are going to somehow win. I mean, I can't. Well, I'll say this in the next time.
But we literally saw this. They're showing it today. Patrick Mahomes is first in pretty much every major category in the playoffs ever. And I just don't see a reason why I can pick against them right now. Their defense is really good. Their offense isn't as good, but they're getting healthy at the right time. Isaiah Pacheco's back. Rashee Rice is still out, but Hollywood's back and all those guys. So, but At the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's unbelievable in the playoffs. He's won three Super Bowls, and he's probably about a three-peat. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everything that you guys have said. Chiefs. We
So
say
stupid.
we say worst 15-2 team ever, but they're 15-2. So it's
So
like
stupid.
we're
Basically
we're mad
15-1
we're
because they
not
just didn't
Chiefs
play
fans.
anybody in the last game.
I mean, they objectively have been winning off some bull crap.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not just mad that they're 15-2 because we aren't Chiefs fans or whatever. They have objectively
And we
won
could talk
There's
about
been
most
some-
of their games off
there's
some
been some-
serious bull crap.
There's been some luck involved, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. They definitely could have a few more losses, but they don't, and that's all that really matters. And I don't think they've won on bullcrap ways the past
No, they've
Once
started
of the
kicking it in gear, unfortunately.
21-7 over the Browns. It's the Browns, but still
That
comfortable
means
win.
nothing.
27-19 over the Texans in a game that wasn't really that
It's a
close,
playoff
and then
team.
29-10 at Pittsburgh on Christmas Day, and then they
It's
haven't.
38-0.
Yeah,
It's the Broncos.
they didn't play anyone. We don't talk about that. But yeah, in the last 3 games that have mattered, they've won fairly comfortably. They're going to have almost a month off, which if
help
they
or
if
hurt
they were
them.
playing a team that had skill position players, I would be like, I don't know if resting your starters is a great idea, but I mean, I don't think the Chargers are going to threaten them too much offensively. But the Chargers have been, like we said, both times they played them and lost by a score. So the Chargers, if they make a couple more plays, could shock the NFL world. But one team has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, and one team doesn't. So that's going to be the difference, I think.
And one team may or may not be practicing dark magic.
Yeah, one may or may not. And one
It's in Arrowhead, too.
One, yeah, it's an
Of course
Arrowhead.
it is.
I wonder how many people will get sacrificed underneath there before that. But yeah, one team just they're the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Fair enough. All right. We've number 2 Bills versus we all have the Ravens, right?
Yeah, it's Bills.
Versus the 3 Ravens.
So
This is also going to be a phenomenal game.
yeah, this will be another really good game. But I'm riding the hot hand. Josh Allen has just had a phenomenal year this year, and he's elevated this Bills roster. We've talked about him. We talked about both of these teams at length in the wild card round. So it's gonna be a great game. I think there's gonna be more scoring in this game. But dude, Josh Allen's the man. So I'm taking the Bills in this one, and it's
in
It's in Buffalo.
It's in Buffalo. So yeah, I'm taking the Bills here. I'm gonna take the Bills here.
He was about to say something he was going to regret.
No, I wasn't gonna regret it, but I know I would have got flamed for it, so I'm just not gonna say it.
Yeah, this is unbelievable matchup. 2 of the best teams in the AFC by far.
2 of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Period.
Number 2 and 3 ranked offense. 2 MVP quarterbacks. Both could win MVP. I wouldn't really care who did. I see both sides. Both have good defenses. I think this is going to be a Derrick Henry game. I think I'm going to pick the Ravens. And the reason because of that is I think that you got Derrick Henry for this reason, to win these big games and take the pressure off of Lamar Jackson, because we saw the Chiefs' recipe to beat Lamar Jackson was make him throw the ball. With Derrick Henry, you really can't make him throw the ball because it's very hard to shut him down. Like, shutting him down is like 100 yards and a touchdown, which is still a great game. And I already talked about Lamar. He's having his best season by far, and he's breaking records and whatever. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And so I think you brought in Derrick Henry for this sole reason, to take pressure off of Lamar so he doesn't have to chuck the ball 30, 40 times, which for some reason they did against the Chiefs last year. And that was the reason why they lost.
Why did they do that?
I have no idea. I don't know.
that.
But Derrick Henry, you brought him here for this reason. This is going to be this game is probably going to come down to like a game-winning field goal. I wouldn't be surprised. Both teams are elite. I love both quarterbacks. Personally, I root for the Bills, obviously, more.
I was gonna say I'm really surprised you're taking the Ravens here.
Yeah, I'm taking them because I'm not being biased. But I
don't think it's a bias.
no,
pick.
it's not a biased pick. It's a great. They're both phenomenal teams, but I personally am giving the edge to the Ravens. But I love the Bills and I love Josh Allen and I want them to win the Super Bowl. But the Ravens this year, they've been probably one of the hottest teams the last month, really. And Lamar's playing at better than he did last year when he won the MVP and they made it to the AFC Championship that year. So, and now you have Derrick Henry, who's the cherry on top. So, but this is going to be a great game. Probably going to end in a game-winning field goal. If I were to guess.
Yeah. I think that. Remember, obviously you guys remember 2022 after the DeMar Hamlin incident. Bills were the 2 seed, Bengals were the 3 seed. That game was
You think this is going to be like that?
scheduled, and everyone's like, "There's no way the Bills are going to lose because DeMar Hamlin. They're going to play for DeMar Hamlin." And obviously the Bengals came in the white unis, snow falling, just played a complete game. And
I will say,
went and stunned the Buffalo crowd. That was probably the best I've ever seen a Cincinnati Bengals play ever.
I think that
was probably Joe's best playoff.
It was his best playoff.
I think that Bengals team is a lot different than this Ravens.
It is.
That Bengals team had some.
I'm just saying,
they
like,
had some
similar
dudes,
similar
man.
narratives. For me, the difference in this game is the amount of playmakers you have outside of the quarterback position. Because obviously Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, obviously top 2.
I didn't think I was going to be making that hot of a take by picking.
It's not a hot
It's
take.
not a hot
It's
take
not a
at
hot
all.
take at all. I
could
very well
genuinely see it
Buffalo
happening.
winning this game.
Oh, I mean, I didn't think I was going to be the only one having the Bills though.
But yeah, the difference for me in this game is the playmakers outside of Josh Allen. James Cook, obviously, he's been great, 16 touchdowns. He's not Derrick Henry. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel is great, but Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews are better. And I mean, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott, both fantastic head coaches, both great defenses. But I just think it's going to be difficult for the Bills to stop both Lamar Jackson and Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Honestly, they could have Josh Allen.
Yeah, they
in the
could have Josh
backfield.
Allen in the backfield. It probably wouldn't be too crazy, but yeah, I alluded to it earlier. These two teams played early in the year, and the Ravens steamrolled them, and that was kind of when Lamar Jackson had his MVP first half, whatever. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be a close game, but for me, yeah, the difference is who you've got outside of quarterback, because I think they're very similar teams otherwise, and I think I'm going to give the edge to Baltimore. But obviously, Lamar Jackson, playoff struggles, very real. I think it's gotten to that point, very
I'm
real.
glad you said it because I was going to say it.
Yeah,
and I know
that's
that
a
I would have
thing.
got flamed for saying it.
No,
Lamar
it's definitely
Jackson,
a thing.
it's definitely a narrative. Lamar Jackson, playoff struggles, very real.
It's improving,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
still not great.
It improved by one game because he beat a rookie-led.
He did destroy
Texans
them
team.
and played one of the best games of his career, but
They are a real thing. You
yeah,
can't-
they are a real thing. Much
He
like
has not proven he
Peyton
can
Manning
win
had
the
playoff
playoffs.
struggles early in his career, and then he got over the monkey in Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl, and then everyone shut up about that.
Yeah.
But until Lamar Jackson makes a Super Bowl, people are going to be like, "Oh, he doesn't perform in the playoffs." Yada yada yada.
It's just fair.
Yeah, it's fair. I'm not gonna disagree with that, especially after
Guess
the
who
Chiefs game.
does perform in the playoffs?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen definitely does.
Josh Allen's one of the best playoff quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Unfortunately, he's gone up against Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
two best quarterbacks in the NFL, mind you,
All right. Well, different topic for a different day. But,
and it's correct.
yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Baltimore in this game. Would not shock me at all if Buffalo came out and won this game.
Nope.
But, yeah, that's,
I'm okay with being wrong on this one.
yeah.
I hope you both are very wrong, honestly.
I hope I am too. I would much rather see the Bills.
I don't care either way. I have no allegiance.
No,
I
I
hope
don't.
you
Either
are
team.
egregious.
Just beat Kansas City. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
whoever can
as long
beat
as it's
Kansas.
not the Chiefs, I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think one team has a better chance at beating.
Well, one team already did, so
Yeah.
that's the Bills.
They're the
only
They're
team
the
that's
only
done
team
it.
that has.
Yeah.
That's actually mattered. We're not counting the Broncos.
Yeah, no one's that game.
Which is a big thing. I mean, the Bills are both phenomenal teams. Just like I said, it's going to go down to a
To be
game-winning
truthfully
field goal.
honest with you, outside of the Bengals, the Bills are the only team that have proven that they genuinely can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Outside of the Bengals, the Bills are the only team.
I feel like the Bills.
The Bills have
had,
not.
like, ample opportunity.
The Bills haven't beat them.
Not many people have beaten them in the last 3
Two
years.
people have beat them. One's the greatest quarterback of all time. The other one's Joe Burrow. Other than that, no one's beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Bills, outside of the Bengals, are genuinely the only team that has given them a real run for their money in the playoffs.
fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair. It's going to be a great game. Either way, it's going to be phenomenal.
We'll talk about that the next round for me, not for you guys. You guys are weirdos.
All right, NFC, Nick. We number 1 Lions. Do you
I have
have
the
the Vikings, right?
I'm gonna start with the 2-3
Interdivision
game.
division game, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the 2-3 game. I think I'm gonna start with the Eagles.
Curveball.
My fault, guys.
That's fine.
Eagles, Bucks. This is an easier game for me to pick. These two teams also played during the year, and the Bucks actually won, but the Eagles were destroyed with injuries. No Lane Johnson, no AJ Brown, no Devontae Smith in that game. The Bucks won relatively comfortably, but it will be in Philly. They should be fully healthy if they get to this point. And the big thing for me is like the Eagles' defense is so good, dude. They're so good. If they had Chris Godwin and they had to focus on 3 guys, then yeah, it'd be a little tougher. But I just in Philly, I think the Eagles are just a better team. So I'm going to pick them advancing to the NFC Championship game over Tampa Bay. And then the 1-5 game, a rematch of the last game of the regular season and one of the best.
Are we just
other
doing
games.
both of them?
Oh, man, my bad.
Well, we all have different games, so you might as well.
I do both?
Sure,
All right, I'll
might
do
as well.
both.
We have different ones.
Yeah, because we have different games. All right, fair enough. 1-5, Lions, Vikings. Man, I said this.
Honestly, I don't even know if this is that hard of a
I
game
said
to pick
this.
for me.
I said this earlier. It's hard to beat a team
It is hard
3
to beat a
times in
team
one
3
season,
times.
It is.
and with a team of the Vikings' quality,
No way you take the Vikings here.
it's just not going to be chalk. There's no way this whole bracket's going to be fully chalk.
I don't think it will be, but I don't think the Vikings are the one to knock out the Lions.
It's
tough.
it's so difficult.
These players are going to be amazing.
I know.
be a lot.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
like I'm currently thinking through my NFC bracket, and I agree. I don't want it to be chalk, but like the matchups that I have,
Wasn't it
it's
chalk
like,
last
I
It was chalk last year.
pretty much, yeah. I in my
well, the
bracket.
NFC it wasn't as good that last year's it was.
Yeah.
If no, I'm changing my pick. If the game did not go the way that it did, where despite all the injuries that Detroit has had, they just
They still
didn't matter.
They still
Didn't
kinda-
matter. Amik Robertson locked down Justin Jefferson. Their front 7 was relentless. Sam Darnold was on his butt constantly. I had the Vikings because I didn't think it was going to be all chalk.
I just don't.
I can't.
See, here's
can't, dude.
Here's my thing. I think that if anybody in this playoffs is going to beat the Lions, it's going to be the Eagles, or truthfully honest,
The Packers.
or the Rams is what I was going to say.
I just
Well, I would say the Packers, but unfortunately they drew the Eagles in the
Yeah.
first round. So I mean, the way my bracket is shaping up, the only teams that I think that Rams and Eagles. Outside of that, I don't think the Vikings, the Commanders, or the Buccaneers would beat the Lions. I don't think they would.
Yeah.
I honestly think the Lions would beat the Vikings 3 times. I think they are that good of a team, and I like the Rams and the Eagles matchup wise better against the Lions than I like the Vikings.
that's fair. I'm gonna change my pick. I'm gonna take Detroit in this game. Obviously everyone was, but I was so unbelievably impressed with the way that the Lions came out in that game against Minnesota, knowing what was on the line and knowing the first 17 weeks were for naught if they didn't win this game. All the injuries they've had on defense. Alex Anzalone did come back, and who knows what's happening with Terrion Arnold.
Here's your other thing.
I think his X-rays came back negative, so
Yeah.
Here's your other thing.
David Montgomery, as they said, he
David
should be
Montgomery's
back.
going to probably come back
He'll
for the
be
divisional
back.
round.
Yeah,
He'll be back.
I do think it'll be a much closer game than the last time these two teams played. Which again, we alluded to it earlier. That game was much closer than the final score would indicate. But I can't, man. Dan Campbell is the culture for Detroit. Everyone's like, "Oh, Dan Campbell has instilled a different culture." No, Dan Campbell is the coach. He is the culture. It's all him. I'm going to take Detroit in this game. As much as I want it to be different, and as much as I respect what Minnesota has done, as much as I think Minnesota could very well still win that game, because it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, especially when they're the caliber of the Vikings. The Lions are just different this year, man. So I'm going to take Detroit.
Yeah, so Detroit, David Montgomery should be back by divisional round, and then Tyrion Arnold and Kevin Seidler are expected to be day-to-day. And Campbell said he can't guarantee that they're playing, but it's much better than appeared. So odds are, if they don't play, then they'll be playing in the divisional round. But quick note on the Lions, because we didn't really go in depth in them. They're the first best offensive team. They're averaging 33 points a game. They're 7th in scoring defense. They've had multiple games where they're just obliterated teams. Jared Goff is playing some of his best ball, 68.5 QBR, 2nd in yards, 4th in touchdowns with 37. And he also, I'm pretty sure, is leading the league, yes. And completion percentage was 72.4, which is unbelievable. Then you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who led the league in, all-around touchdowns,
yeah.
right?
He had 19.
With receiving and rushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been phenomenal this year. J-Mo's picked it up the last couple games. Laporte has been not as great as last year, obviously, but still pretty good. Defensively, they're a bunch of bruisers, hard-hitting. They got the safety duo of Kirby Joseph, who leads the league in interceptions. Brian Branch, who about knocks people out of the game every single time he hits somebody. Anzalone's back, which is good. Tyrion Arnold has been pretty solid as a rookie. He should be fine. Losing Aiden Hutchinson's obviously a big thing. That was huge when that happened, but you still have they brought in Zadarius Smith, who's been good. And Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are phenomenal coordinators. Both are probably going to be taking head coaching jobs. Dan Campbell is a phenomenal coach. The Lions are a great team. They've been destroyed by injuries, but they've been resilient, and they found a way to continue to be an elite team. And they should have majority of their key players that are eligible to come back be playing by this time. And if they do make the Super Bowl, I think it is Aiden Hutchinson has a chance of playing if they make it to the Super Bowl. I don't know if he would, but there's a small chance. But I have them going against the Rams. I've already talked about the Rams at length, but I'm going to go with the Lions. I just think the Lions are the best team in the NFC by far. I think they're the second best team in the NFL this year. Jared Goff's playing at an elite level. Their offense is super high powered, and I just, despite the injuries, Dan Campbell being Dan Campbell has rallied this team together. That last win, I think, is going to be huge for their confidence because everyone was biggest game of the season for them. Lots of injuries. Let's see if they're really that good, and they came out and just punched him in the mouth. So I think that was a huge confidence boost, and that's going to carry on in the playoffs. And I think they're going to beat the Rams at home. Matthew Stafford will probably get booed again.
So I am going to go with the 1-seeded Lions versus the 6-seeded Commanders. First of all, I have the Commanders over the Bucs. I don't think there's really a lot to talk about here.
I don't think this is much of a discussion.
I think the Lions are going to kind of hand it to him. Jane Daniels had a great year. The Commanders are probably years ahead of
where
they
should be. But the Lions are the best team in the NFL. So they're going to beat the Commanders at home. There's not really. You guys hit the Lions pretty good.
Yeah.
David Montgomery's back. The rest of their guys outside Aiden Hutchinson are day-to-day. They'll probably play at least down the stretch in this playoffs. I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL right now. They got two of the best coordinators at their respective sides of the ball. Dan Campbell has totally turned this team around. Jared Goff was top 5 in yards and touchdowns, probably, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. So, this Lions team. Jahmyr Gibbs is unreal, by the way.
Top 3 runners.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is also unreal. They have maybe the best offensive line in football. Their defense had Sam Darnold on his butt, and this is a Vikings team that won 14 games. The Lions are the best team in the NFL. They're going to beat the Commanders. I don't know that it's going to be a particularly hard game. It's not. I don't think it's going to be like a field goal or something.
Yeah.
They're not going to be sweating.
Not as much as a different matchup could maybe be.
Yeah.
So now on the other side, I got the 4-seeded Rams going to the 2-seeded Eagles. This is a hard one. This is a hard one to pick. They played each other about middle of the season, and the Eagles beat the crap.
Oh, yeah, that was the Saquon Barkley
255 yards.
Yeah,
rushing.
I forgot about that.
They won by 17 points. And I actually picked the Rams to win this game at that time in the season. I said the Rams were going to win that game. Yeah. I think that this could end up being a coin flip of who's hotter at that particular time. It's in Philadelphia, and this is a really tough game to pick, man. Because I don't want this to be like a cookie cutter, chalk schedule out of the NFC. Because if the Eagles win, it's literally 1 versus 2. But it's hard because I think that those have been the two best teams in the NFC. The Eagles and the Lions. I really think those have been the two best teams. It's not now. It's not always like the best team. It's who's playing, like who's hottest. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Sean McVay is a better coach. I think Sean McVay is a great offensive coach. I don't freaking know who to take in this game. I really don't know.
It's tough. What was I forget what the score was.
37-20.
It was 37-20.
When did they play in the playoffs last year? What was it?
The Eagle or the who?
Didn't the Lions and the Rams play each other?
Yeah, it was 24-23 Lions.
Okay. The Lions got knocked out by a few.
I knew it was close.
That was the Lions, though, not the Eagles.
Yeah, I was just. Oh, my bad. I was thinking of mine.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard game, man. I really don't even know. I mean, I'm about to just ask Siri to flip a coin here. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what I want to happen. I want the Rams to win.
Yeah.
But, this Eagles defense and the Eagles in the trenches and Saquon Barkley, I just don't know if this Rams defense is going to be able to get it done, I mean, I had faith in them the last time and they lost by 17 points. So, I don't know. It's hard to beat a good team twice. It really is. It's in Philadelphia, though. I don't know, man.
That game's probably going to be freezing.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be warm at all. Plus cross country for the Rams travel wise too.
I know. I mean, there's a lot of factors here that you would think go to the Eagles, but I think the Rams are a really good team. It's just they beat the Vikings in the first round.
Just go with your gut.
Well, my gut says the Eagles, but I want to take the Rams. So
your brain is saying Eagles and your heart is saying Rams.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be. I don't want to have a cookie cutter bracket. I don't want to have 1 versus 2.
Just be different.
So it's like I'm trying. I think I'm genuinely going to have Siri. Who would you guys take in this game?
I would take the Eagles.
I just want to see what you guys would say.
I would take.
I would take the Eagles in this game.
What, is that not a hard? Would you say?
Not particularly.
Really?
No.
Not really. No.
I don't know, man.
I mean, it would be a good game, but I just think the Eagles would.
I mean, I originally had the Eagles winning this game.
It comes down to defense, and the Eagles' defense is a lot better.
I know, and I originally had the Eagles winning this game. It's just a hard pick because it's like, man, I think the Rams could get it done, but and while you were talking, I was looking at the box.
We also
score
said this
from that
exact
game.
same thing when the Packers played the Niners a couple years ago in the playoffs, and then the Niners went to Lambeau and won in 2021 when Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. So.
Well, the Niners were the better team from top to bottom. It's just the Packers had Rodgers and Adams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were.
Yeah,
they were.
Probably, yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I think while you were talking on your picks, I looked up the box score of that game. It was the middle of the season, whatever. But I looked at the box score. The Rams had pretty much all their starters, as did the Eagles. And it was not a pretty game. So, because I thought, well, maybe, if Cooper Kupp didn't play or something, then maybe that would. No, the Rams played. The Rams had about everybody playing. The Eagles' defense is just that good. It's cookie cutter, whatever. I'll take the Eagles. I do think the Eagles have a better defense, and they were my first. I picked them to win, but I'm like, I really want the Rams. But that last showing didn't help.
Yeah.
Losing by 17 points that's pretty rough. Now I realize it was middle of the season and whatnot, but it's a little that's pretty rough loss.
To be honest with you, I genuinely think the Packers have a better chance of beating the Eagles than the Rams would.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. The Packers I feel are more I feel like the Packers at their ceiling are better than the Rams at their ceiling. You know, because like the Rams at their ceiling, they're going to have one of the best offenses in the NFL. But the Eagles also have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And then on the flip side, like I don't trust the Rams defense, even though their D line's been playing better, versus the Eagles.
If the Eagles didn't have Saquon Barkley, I would take I would absolutely take the Rams.
That's understandable. I would not.
But they do have Saquon.
They do have Saquon.
So it's
Barkley.
like
And he's going to win offensive player.
that's pretty much why I'm taking the Eagles here. If you take Saquon out of this, I think the Rams would definitely win.
Which is fair.
So, yeah, I'll go. You know, I got the Lions and the Eagles 1 versus 2. It's not really where I want to land, but I feel like these are the two best teams. And like you said, if the Packers don't get past the Eagles, the Rams probably won't either. But, you know, let's just, you know, for the sake of the discussion here, let's just see. If the Packers do beat the Eagles, then the Packers are going to Detroit.
Yep.
And the Rams are hosting the Commanders in my bracket.
Yes.
If that scenario plays out, I think you absolutely see
Lions
Rams in the NFC Championship.
Yes.
And to be truthfully honest with you, that game could go 50-50.
I'd agree.
Every single time
they played week 1 this year. The Rams lost in overtime. Last year they played in the playoffs. Lions won by 1.
Yeah. So
the Lions won. Yeah, they won by 1.
The Rams are a bad matchup for the Lions. That has been proven. Both of those games were also in Detroit. So if the Packers can walk into Philadelphia and beat them, which I absolutely think can happen, but just for the sake of discussion, I took the Eagles. If that is the scenario we see play out, we're going to see Rams Lions, and that is one that I would way rather see. You know what? Maybe I should go back and just take the Packers. Maybe I should just do that because that's the scenario I think I'd rather see.
Well,
but
we're an hour and a half in.
I was gonna say
we're
we're too deep in. So you know, unfortunately, I got the Lions and the Eagles, but I think I would really like to see Packers upset en route to a Rams Lions championship game. I think that would be ideally what happens, and I think that'd be a heck of a game.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. All right, real quick, I have the Eagles and the Bucks, and I'm gonna have the Eagles win. We pretty much already said everything.
You didn't go yet?
No, I didn't get my second one yet.
Oh, I didn't. I did not mean to skip you.
No, you're fine. Eagles.
So you have Eagles.
I have also.
We all have
Eagles
Lions.
All right, you can
start Packers and made it Eagles and made it Lions.
You can start in the AFC Championship game because you're different than me and Nick. You have Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, I got Chiefs Bills in the AFC. I'm fairly confident about that one. I do truly think that there's a good chance you see this game.
I agree.
And to be honest with you, this is the game everybody wants to see. This is the game the NFL wants to see. This is what you want to see in the AFC Championship. You want to see Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes versus Bills, Josh Allen. That's what everybody wants to see. That has been a playoff classic for the last 4 years.
Josh Allen's lost all of those.
Josh Allen has lost all of them. All of them have been very close.
Yes.
I mean, if the NFL actually had good overtime rules, then maybe Josh Allen wouldn't have lost all of them.
They were so bad in the playoffs; they had to change them after that game.
Well, they're the same in the regular season. They only change them in the
Well,
playoffs.
I feel we talked about this. I feel like in the regular season, even if you lose a game off some crap like that, you've had 16 other games to prove whether or not you're a playoff team. But I don't want to see a season ended on that rule.
I couldn't possibly disagree with you more on that.
No, I know. I'm fully aware, but
I think that
we're not going to go down.
Yeah.
I think that the
overtime
playoff overtime rules need to be just for the whole season. I don't know why it's not that. The NFL needs to change that now. Anyways, though. So this game is just a playoff classic between two of our generation's greatest quarterbacks. It's going to be a similar game to what we usually see, I think. You're going to see a lot of scoring between both of these teams. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are just going to be exchanging heavyweight blows, I think, throughout most of the game here. And the Chiefs, you can't pick against them because they can't lose. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter how the game looks. they're going to probably still win. And I said that like a week or so ago. I was like, it really must be nice, like being a Chiefs fan, because no matter what happens, you can still confidently sit there and say, we're going to probably win this game. It's really hard to pick against this freaking Chiefs team. But you know what, dang it. I think Josh Allen has been Superman this year. And I think the Bills just might have what it takes to get it done this year. They beat him in the regular season. I know they usually beat him in the regular season, and it doesn't translate to the playoffs. The Chiefs are getting hot right now, unfortunately. Nobody wants to see that happen, but unfortunately it is happening. But I think that Josh Allen and this Bills team just might be able to get it done. I want that to happen, and we're doing this for fun at the end of the day. So, I'm going to take the Superman-led Bills team. I think that Josh Allen's going to get over that hump, and I think he's going to finally do it. I think he is going to finally become the third quarterback to take Patrick Mahomes down in the playoffs en route to a Super Bowl.
That would be a sight to see.
In Arrowhead.
That would be awesome.
I think he is going to finally get the job done en route through Arrowhead to a Super Bowl. The Bills' first one since the 90s. Josh Allen's first one. I think that this is just the Bills' season, man. You got an MVP quarterback. I think he's going to get it done. He will join Joe Burrow and Tom Brady.
Truly an NFL legend at that point.
I mean, honestly, it really is pretty impressive when you have the GOAT and the second best quarterback in the current NFL are the only two that can do it. So.
Yeah. I would love to see that happen. That would be awesome. I have the Chiefs and the Ravens, and as sickening as this matchup is for a multitude of reasons, I dislike both teams, but...
Oh, I can't stand either team.
But
honestly, I think I'd rather see the Chiefs over the.
Why?
I would.
Why?
You know why.
Yes.
As painful as this is, I just can't I can't pick against the Chiefs because they're literally the Chiefs, and it's just stupid. But I also, on the other hand, would not be shocked if the Bills or Ravens come in and beat them, because I feel like the Chiefs haven't really been great this
Isaiah
season.
Likely's foot was half a size away from.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 11 one-score games. I would like to think that would catch up to them at some point, but knowing Mahomes and the dark magic they do, it probably won't. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs. It's cookie cutter, but I don't know.
This is the only cookie cutter one that I genuinely am like, yeah, that'll probably happen.
It's hard for me to pick against them. As much as I hate it, it's just hard for me to pick against them.
Yeah, I despise this too. I've also got Chiefs, Ravens. I don't hate it as much as them because I'm not a Ravens hater. But I just every quarterback is better than Patrick Mahomes until it's time to be better than Patrick Mahomes, and then they fold. So it's like in these moments, like. You get Derrick Henry.
We saw this game last year. We saw how it went.
That was in Baltimore. Obviously, the Ravens didn't have Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers was a double agent multiple times, but Lamar Jackson also just did not play well.
They almost won that game.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
Even though Lamar played terrible.
Yeah.
Well, the Chiefs should be 9-8.
That's crazy.
So
no, they should not. They should not be 9-8. If
one-score games were differently, they would be like 9-8 probably. Would they not?
I mean. You think they'd lose 7 more games?
Dude, have you seen the amount of games they've won?
No, I know they've won a lot of games. I know they've won a lot. I know they've won a lot of games off just.
They'd still be in the playoffs. I'm just saying, like.
So I'm trying to think of games that would have gone the other way.
Baltimore
Bengals game. I'm not going to say Baltimore because even if they score that touchdown, it goes to overtime.
Honestly, Raiders.
The second Raiders game, I'll give
the
you.
Second Raiders, the Falcons game.
I'm not giving you the Falcons.
Yes, you are.
Patrick Mahomes would have got the ball back.
No. You got the Bengals. You got the Falcons. You got the second Raiders. You've got the first Broncos.
Yeah, I'll give you first Broncos.
You've got the second Chargers. There's 5 games right there.
Yeah, there's 4 to 5 right there. But yeah.
And then that brings you to 7 losses.
It sucks, but I've said this the whole year, and you guys have been like, oh my god, here we go again with this guy. I genuinely think the Chiefs have the Jordan Bulls feel to them, where it's like until someone proves to me they can beat them, I'm not picking against them.
Yeah.
And
Dude.
okay, not in years. It's gonna be.
It was 2 years ago.
It's gonna be like 3 years for this playoff since Patrick Mahomes last lost in the postseason.
It's
Not
stupid.
2022
there
anymore.
Are 2 guys.
I'm just. Yeah, every quarterback is better than Patrick Mahomes until it's time to be better than Patrick Mahomes. All right, forget that guy. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game, as sickening as it is. I think they'll win the AFC and go back to
I am not mentally prepared for the thought that there's going to be like 4 generational quarterbacks that like very well could
It's
just not win a
literally
Super Bowl
Jordan in the
because Patrick
NFL.
Mahomes.
Charles
I think that Burrow and Allen will break through at least one.
I would
I would
to
hope so. I hope
I
so.
have Allen breaking through here.
Yeah. All right, Nick. You, me,
Eagles,
you
Lions.
have the. We all have the same
Eagles
one, right?
Lions.
I shouldn't.
For me,
If
this is
if we could redo this episode, I would have a different one.
all right. Fair enough. This is the NFC Championship game I predicted in the preseason. I had this game in Lincoln Financial because I had the Packers winning the NFC North. That didn't happen. But for me, the difference in this game is the Lions' offense is arguably the best in the league. The Eagles' offense is still very good. The Eagles' defense is one of the best in the league, and the Lions' offense is middle of the road. Defense, yeah. The Lions' defense is middle of the road, sometimes below average. I picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl in the preseason. I'm gonna stick by it. I think that as good as the Lions have been this year, some franchises are just cursed. And the Vikings went 15-1 in 1998, and then Gary Anderson missed a kick. They should have, if they go to the Super Bowl, they probably win that. Gary Anderson, who hadn't missed a kick all year, put it wide left. Falcons ended up winning that game in overtime. The Ravens last year the Ravens aren't a cursed franchise, but they had a fantastic year, ended up losing. Sometimes just wacky stuff happens in the NFL. Eagles are a very good team. I'm one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. Uber talented. They've been here before. It would not shock me if the Lions won this game, but I think both of you are going to pick the Lions, and I also picked the Eagles to beat the Lions in the preseason. So I'm going to take Philadelphia to get a rematch with Kansas City in the Super Bowl. That would be such a terrible Super Bowl if, with the way the season's gone, if we get Eagles-Chiefs again.
Yeah. I'm kind of like wondering now if I shouldn't have just stuck to my guns with like the Packers and the Chiefs, but like I don't think that on the Packers end of things, like they just haven't been impressing me quite as much as these other teams that, like
they're the textbook good, not great team.
Yeah,
this year.
That's why that's what makes it like harder to pick, like to stay with like my preseason picks, because preseason I had the Chiefs Packers, but it's just I haven't been impressed enough with the Packers to like stick to that like preseason ranking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, my preseason I had. I know I had the Eagles. I can't remember.
Did you have Eagles Chiefs?
I can't remember. I probably did. But I don't want to pick the Eagles. But I don't know. I'm gonna pick the Lions.
Okay.
Even though I picked the Eagles early in the year. The Lions, if there's any year to do it, I think this is the year. Actually, I don't know. They're really good. But with the injuries, like I said, they've overcame it. Dan Campbell, been here before. They were here last year. They don't want to feel that taste in their mouth again of coming so close and yet falling short. You got David Montgomery will be back. Gibbs, I think Goff's going to rise to the challenge. Amon-Ra. The defense is not as good. That's a thing. And again, I could. This game's going to come down to a game-winning field goal, or heck, go to overtime. This game's going to be absolutely phenomenal. But I'm going to give the edge to the Lions. It's going to be as cookie cutter as you could possibly get, but I don't care.
Lions, Chiefs.
Lions, Chiefs, Super Bowl. All right, Weave, who do you have? I know you would have picked the Packers if you could, but you messed that up, so.
Yeah, I screwed up this bracket. Okay. I was just looking to see something here.
But I got well,
They played, right?
because I
Two
screwed.
Eagles Lions.
Or no?
Did they play?
No, because the Eagles didn't win the division.
That wasn't even the game I was looking for. I was already looking ahead. But anyways, because I messed up the bracket here, I also have the Eagles and the Lions. I hear what you're saying, but dude, I mean, the Lions might genuinely be cursed, yes, but like, I don't.
They will
think-
break through the
I
curse.
was just saying, I don't.
Just like in baseball.
I was gonna say,
Cubs did it. The Red Sox did it. The Lions are going to do it.
I was gonna say,
Those
I
are two
don't.
poverty franchises. and
I
the Lions
don't
will be the
think
third.
that curses are real in like here. I think that it's just poverty franchises constantly being poverty. But I'll tell you what, the Lions I do not believe are any more poverty.
They are not poverty
They have
anymore.
changed the way that they do business in this front office. I just think that this is the team. This is the year with this team. I mean, these guys are, last year they were like, holy crap, like they really might do it. They came up short. This year, I think that it's like these are the guys this year. I think
do
that
it.
this is the year for them. They've had injuries. They've overcome them. They've played like just the same dang team. I mean, this is a very
They lost their
very good
best
football
edge rusher, who was on pace to be the
was gonna
defensive
run
player of
away
the
with
year,
defensive player of the year.
and they lost 2 games. Or
Yeah,
3
this Lions team is phenomenal, and I just think that they've got it this year. I think that these are 2 very, very good teams. I think the Lions got it. It's in Detroit. I like the Lions here. I'm going to take the Lions.
I'm gonna say one thing. I said the curse thing because I was blanking on one of my other points that I was gonna bring up. I remember the other point I was gonna bring up. Ever since the Lions have lost Aiden Hutchinson, their pass rush has not been the same. Zadarius Smith, he's been good. He's been a solid addition, but he hasn't generated the pressures that Aiden Hutchinson has.
Fair.
If they were going up against, like, I don't know, the Rams or like the Bucks or I don't know, the Commanders somehow in the NFC Championship game against a team that has a decent but not phenomenal offensive line, I don't know if it would matter. But not having Aiden Hutchinson against one of the best offensive lines in football with the best running back in football and some of the best skill position players in football is going to matter.
Yeah.
Well, the Lions have quite possibly the best running back duo in the NFL.
I know. I'm fully,
They have still
both
a
teams'
top
skill
10
position
defense,
players
I would
are
say.
the Lions.
They
The
have
Lions do not have a top 10 defense in the NFL.
their defense has been playing very well.
Their defense has been playing abysmal.
What are
They're
you talking about? They
Besides-
have Sam Darnold's
Besides the last game,
They're-
their defense was terrible.
they
Last
are
month of the season.
ranked 7th in scoring defense, allowing 20 points per game.
I don't know. I think this Lions defense is solid.
But I mean,
They are.
Their offense is very
if you
well. I
look
think they're going to get it done.
at- I mean, rushing
I don't hate that, but
against the rush, they're 5th. Against the pass, they are.
I mean, yeah, the Lions' last 5
They're
games.
30th against the pass, so they're not great against the pass.
Lions' last 5 games, they allowed 31 to the Packers, 48 to the Bills, 17 to the Bears, 34 to the Niners, and then obviously the game against the Vikings where
So they're probably 20.
I'd say
Outside of 1 or 2 of those games, those are very good football teams.
No, but you're going to be playing
So, like-
you're going to be playing a very good football team when you get to this point in the season.
Yeah, and I'm just saying they still won those games.
I would not be. I'm just giving rationale for why.
Yeah,
I
no,
picked
that's fair.
Philadelphia.
I think the Lions are going to get it done.
So
I
you've
really
got
like the
you've
Lions.
got Bills Lions, you've got Chiefs Lions. I have Chiefs Eagles.
There we go. Good job, guys. We're all different.
We're all different.
All right, Weaver, you can start us off with your Super
The
Bowl.
People's Super Bowl, Bills Lions.
Yeah, this is what everybody wants to see.
I would be a winner no matter what because I like both teams.
Yeah, I don't think I'd really care about who wins this game much. I think that this would be a great game. I think this is the game
a
everyone wants to
rematch
see.
of the regular season.
When did they play?
Like a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, the Bills beat them.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 48-42.
Jeez. Oh, I forgot about that game. That was when both of them threw for like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, 48-42. Yeah. This is a really hard game to pick, man.
Josh Allen threw for 362 and 2 touchdowns and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. And
That game
Jared
was
Goff threw
Josh.
for 505 touchdowns.
It was a shootout. It was a shootout.
He also threw the ball 60 times.
Yeah, a lot of that was garbage
my
time stats, but still.
They didn't run the ball at all.
No.
Gibbs only got 8 carries.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a really hard game to pick. To be honest, I have no clue who's taking this game. I really don't have any idea.
Flip a coin.
This
Honestly, you could.
Yeah,
I think that the Lions are from top to bottom the better team. But once again, Josh Allen's just been Superman this year.
Josh Allen's just going to absolutely carry the Bills all the way to the Super
He
Bowl.
might, dude.
That
on
might
his
happen.
back.
That's a very real
No, I know.
possibility.
I mean,
It's just crazy.
They beat the Lions last time. They gave up 42 points.
The Lions did give up 48, though.
The Lions gave up more points.
So,
Aiden Hutchinson's small chance he might be back if they
probably
make it
like
this far.
15%.
I don't think he'll.
I
end
don't
up
think
playing,
he
'cause
will.
That was a pretty gruesome injury.
Oh,
but
gosh.
It's non-zero, which is very impressive.
Yeah, dude, there are reasons that I think both teams could win and reasons that I want to see both teams win. So, you know,
I feel like if Josh Allen overcomes the Mahomes hurdle,
He should win.
he should win the Super Bowl. Very similar when Peyton Manning overcame the Brady hurdle.
Yeah.
And obviously, this Lions team is much better than the Rex Grossman-led Bears in 2006. But like I feel like once Manning
forgot about
overcame the Brady hurdle, he won the Super Bowl the same year. I feel like once Allen overcomes the Mahomes hurdle, he'll win the Super Bowl.
well, see, here's another thing that comes to mind with this game, right? So, Joe Burrow overtook Mahomes, right? En route to a Super Bowl. They ran into a
Juggernaut.
They ran into a juggernaut Rams.
Super team.
Lost by 3 points. So, Joe Burrow got through Mahomes, wasn't able to get it all done. I could see Josh Allen getting through Mahomes, not getting it done because he's running into a buzzsaw Lions team. However, the Lions defense is weaker. The Bills
They don't have the same pass rush that the Rams had.
the Bills' strength.
Oh, no.
The Bills' strength is no. The Bills' strength. Yeah.
And
Von
Von Miller, dude.
And Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, there's
Dude,
levels to
Jamar
this.
Chase cooked, so I'll leave that there.
Did
but-
Jamar Chase cook too?
Yes. Yes,
I don't
he did.
actually-
He did.
I know T.
The
Higgins.
first drive of the game. He
I know
ripped
T.
off-
Higgins caught.
No,
that
Jamar
touchdown.
Chase kind of had his way in that
I'm
game.
gonna fact check you.
I hate
He
that
did.
team.
But yeah, this is just such a hard game to pick because they have the same strengths and weaknesses. I feel like both teams have very good offenses and slightly weaker defenses. So I mean,
Yeah, he had 5 for 89. I wouldn't say cooked, but he had a solid game.
and he also came.
I mean,
And he also came a second away from having the game-winning touchdown
Yeah,
on Jalen Ramsey.
yeah.
So
That's fair. I'll give you that.
So that would be the first Super Bowl in the Burrow era if it wasn't for him. Anyways,
Lost your train of thought.
no, I didn't. I'm just genuinely. I
Just
don't
pick
know.
somebody.
Pick someone, Weaver.
You guys go
You
first.
spent a half hour on
All
the
right,
It's a
last
harder game to pick
2-1.
than your guys'. Go
I'll
first.
go first because I
No,
feel
mine's
like
pretty tough.
I feel like mine's the easiest to pick of the three. Also a tough game because both these teams are very good. They're obviously in the Super
Who
Bowl.
do you
for
have?
Chiefs Eagles.
Oh, you guys both have Chiefs Eagles.
He has Chiefs Lions.
yeah.
I have
Oh,
Chiefs
that's
Eagles.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs Eagles in New Orleans. These two teams. I picked the Eagles in the regular season.
You know who you're gonna pick.
I'm not picking Nick Sirianni to beat Andy Reid in a game
that would
that
be
matters.
funny.
That's not happening. I get they won last year in the Chiefs, and then Nick Sirianni had his little baby meltdown in Arrowhead, where he was like, "Yeah, what are they going to say now?" And then the Eagles collapsed. I'm picking the Chiefs to three-peat.
Yeah.
It sucks. Ooh, lame. But I mean, like, I don't see a team in the NFL that is going to beat them when it matters most. Okay, they're better than they were last year. They're healthier. They don't have Rasheed Rice, but they've got D-Hop and Hollywood Brown. Travis Kelce will probably turn up. Pacheco's healthy again. Their O-line is more experienced. Their defense is their defense. Their defense is elite. They've got some of the best coordinators in football. They're the two-time defending Super Bowl champs for a reason. Everyone would hate.
Nagy?
Huh?
Isn't there OC Matt Nagy?
Yes.
Is there OC Matt Nagy?
I think it
I
is.
did not know he went to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I know
he's
they
the
still have
OC.
Spags.
I don't
on
think he
defense.
calls plays. I think Andy.
Because they probably told him to be a figurehead, and that was it after what he did with Chicago. But
Spags is the best, though.
Spags is the best defensive coordinator in the league.
To the Bengals.
But yeah, I just as much as everyone would hate to see it, I don't think I don't think anyone's gonna take down Kansas City when it matters most, especially with them having home field advantage en route to the Super Bowl. So it's boring, it sucks, but I'm gonna pick the Chiefs to three-peat.
It's fair. I have Chiefs Lions. I have to pick the Chiefs. It's stupid.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. It's stupid.
All right, well, I guess I'm the only brave soul here.
Well, you don't even have them in there, so.
Yeah, that's why I'm a brave soul.
I think the Lions could. If the
The Lions could beat them,
I
yes.
think the Lions genuinely have a better chance to beat Kansas
Yes.
City than Philadelphia does.
Yes, they could.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I like I said, I don't think Kansas City has played as well as they have in past Super Bowl years. But I said the same thing last year, and they won again in overtime. So even if the team plays really well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I hate that they're going to three-peat, but that's just what's going to happen in this prediction. I don't like it. I don't want to say it, but I'm it's like Nick said, until proven otherwise, in my head, I cannot pick against them. In my heart, I pick against them every single game. But in my head...
In my heart, they lose to the Chargers.
Yeah. I would love that to happen. But, yeah.
Well, then the Bills are definitely going to the Super Bowl.
I have to pick them. I would much rather see your outcome by a million times. Would rather see that outcome than...
May as well have just went ahead and picked what I'm picking then. That's
Yeah, but I just... Whatever. So, yeah, Chiefs going to three-peat. Woohoo. Patrick Mahomes...
World will stay.
Patrick Mahomes will be firmly in the conversation for greatest player,
No.
quarterback conversation. If he three-peats and
If
has
he
4 Super
three-peats,
Bowls, you
yeah.
can't doubt that he's at least in the conversation. I never said he was the best. I said he would be in the conversation.
The conversations will officially start being
Yes. Nick started them last
Nick
year,
started them last year.
but they will officially begin again this year.
Because you're
much
a
as it
Tom
sucks,
Brady hater, because he
it
blocked
will
your
happen.
guy. That's why.
So, Chiefs winning, boo-hoo. I would much rather watch your Super Bowl.
Well, I'm hoping my Super Bowl is what happens.
So am I.
So let's go.
Everyone is.
So let's go to my side where Patrick Mahomes
Yours is the more fun one.
and the Chiefs is not
Patrick
there
Mahomes is sitting on his butt.
due to Josh
Watching the
Allen's
Super Bowl.
Superman run. Josh Allen single-handedly willing this Bills team to the Super Bowl. I think I've come to my conclusion.
I was going to say, didn't we spend the last 20 minutes debating this in your head?
I think I've come to my conclusion.
All right, let's hear it.
I am 100% okay with either outcome of this game. I think the Lions are, from top to bottom, the better team. I think that the Lions have far better supporting cast offensively than the Bills do. The Bills, however, had a Superman run through...
Kansas City.
Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs.
Yeah. But you know what? I just think that the Lions are the better team, and I think that every time I watch them this year, I'm really impressed with how they play offensively and defensively. I really like this Lions team a lot. I was looking at the stat sheet from the last time they played. Neither quarterback made a mistake.
Nobody played defense.
Well, neither quarterback threw a pick or anything, so it's like, well, shoot, dude, I don't freaking know. But I just think even though
If
Josh
they could just copy and paste that game, but in the Super Bowl, that would be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Even though Josh Allen had a Superman run and made it through Patrick Mahomes, I just think this is the Lions' year, man. I'm going to take the Lions to win the Super Bowl. I think that they're the more well-rounded team. They have more offensive firepower. I mean, because really, with the Bills, it's Allen and Cook. The Lions, you've got Goff, you've got Montgomery, you've got Gibbs, you've got St. Brown, you've got Jameson Williams, you got Sam Laporta, you have the best offensive line in football, probably.
Kirby Joseph, Alex Anzalone.
Yeah, I mean this line.
They're insane.
This Lions team is really good. Whether or not you think their defense is good, whatever.
Their defense is good,
Their defense
but
is
yeah.
good, and they get the job done when they need to get it done. Statistically speaking, whatever, they've got the job done. So, great game here. I would love to see Josh Allen win. I would love to see either outcome, but just for the sake of discussion right now, take the Lions. The Lions are going to bring something good to Detroit, and they're going to win the first Super
I might have
Bowl
to drive up to Detroit
ever.
for that. That'd be the party of a lifetime.
They get it done. You know, I have said this several times. I can't wrap my mind around the Lions winning, the Detroit Lions winning a Super Bowl before the Bengals. But you know,
Well, they're probably around the same team
Yeah, they're
historically.
probably, historically wise,
Yeah.
they're probably pretty.
I guess, no.
yeah. So I mean, and the Lion, I said it before. You know, I said it since the Bengals are out now. I said my two teams in this playoffs that I will be rooting for are the Bills from the AFC and the Lions from the NFC.
Those
Either
are
one,
my
either
two
one who
teams
wins
as
it all.
well.
Don't care. That's what I want to see though. So I'll take the Lions here. So
There we go.
Detroit, bringing it home.
I would love that. I hope they do.
I would love that too.
I don't want to see the Chiefs win again.
No one does.
Okay.
I think we
Unfortunately, life
we-
is not fair though.
we screwed. I think we're the reasons why, because we were like, yeah, we're just gonna have Patrick Mahomes not in the playoffs, or not in the playoffs,
Not in the
not
conference title.
not in the
Yeah,
conference
we didn't
title
have
2
any
years
con-
ago.
yeah.
So
At
then
least we all three
Mahomes
had that.
Mahomes probably watched that. No, he didn't. But and he was like, screw these guys. They don't know anything. I'm just gonna go and lose 5 games for the next 2 years or whatever the heck it was.
Go 11-6 and prove these guys otherwise again.
Hey, I would love it if Patrick Mahomes was watching this podcast. That'd be great. Go ahead and tune in.
Just stop winning Super
Yeah,
Bowls.
stop. Yeah,
At least let Burrow get one. I mean, seriously, do you
Yeah,
realize
do
how
the-
desperate the city of Cincinnati? I mean,
Do the Michael
it couldn't
Jordan-
possibly be worse.
Do the Michael Jordan thing where you retire. Somebody else wins.
maybe
it
play
for-
baseball for a couple years.
for a year. You could do that.
Hey, he
You-
was really good.
Yeah, he
Actually,
was
no,
really
you
good at
can't. You're a
baseball.
part majority. You're a part owner of the Royals.
You know what
so
I
you
want to
can't
see?
play.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a Brady-esque career where there is a 10-year gap in between Super Bowls for Patrick Mahomes. And in that 10-year gap,
Burrow
Eli
wins
Man-
all 10.
Eli Manning won.
Eli Manning hops on. Yes!
Burrow wins
Burrow
10
wins
straight.
all 10. Eli Manning won
So,
2. Ben
Eli
Roethlisberger
Man-
won
Eli
2.
Manning hopped on in there and won 2. And you know what dang quarterback hops on into that 10-year stretch and wins 2? None other than Joseph Lee Burrow, the man himself.